Hey everybody, we're going to talk about fuel system maintenance and or winterizing. Our season's over, we're done racing for the year. So what we're going to do here is we're going to winterize our fuel system. One thing we run into every year through our business here is we get to the springtime and it's a race season, and it can be the week before the race or the day of the race, and somebody's at the track or at their house and they can't get their car running. Or it runs, they throw the green flag and the thing falls on its face. Most of the time that's due to the lack of fuel system maintenance during the off season. Fuel sits in either the fuel pump, the lines, the barrel valve, the bypasses, or all of the above, and leads to bigger problems. So I'm going to show you how we prevent these problems from happening, how we take care of our fuel system. From the fuel tank all the way to the motor and then back to the tank. Hi, I'm Billy Dietrich, sprint car mechanic and driver. I've been around racing my whole life and it's pretty much all I know. We created this channel to share the good, the bad, and everything in between. I'm also going to share some tutorials on basic 410 mechanics and parts and whatever else I feel like. So, like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, boys. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook the main fuel line. This car's been sitting for a while. It's been a few weeks since we raced, so I've already done this whole process, but everything's just finger tight. So we're going to go basically just do it one more time for everybody. That's why everything's going to be just finger tight. And we already drained the fuel out of it, but we'll start at the top here. The first thing I'm going to do when I'm ready to winterize this is I'm going to drain all the fuel out of the tank. I'm going to do that by taking off the main fuel line from the fuel pump. That will drain all the fuel out as much as you can get out, which is probably within a gallon or two of what's in the tank. So there's no fuel in here because we already did this, but we're going to drain this all the way out. Then when it's done draining, unhook the filter from the main line. Now, if you don't have a external filter like this here, and you have an internal filter, that's no big deal. You probably have one main line. So in that case, just drain all you can out of this one main line, and then I would just cap this end and let the line hang. Or you could pull it off the tank if you wanted, but as long as there's no fuel in that line. I actually blow the lines out once the fuel's drained out. So this line back here that goes into the tank, actually blow that out also, so there's no fuel laying in that line or at the bulkhead at the top of the tank. So once the main line's unhooked and the fuel's drained out, we're going to move it inside the cockpit here. We're going to move to the fuel pump, and down here we're going to take all our lines off. There's 3 lines on the pump. You got your main line going to the shutoff, which goes to the engine, and then we got the other 2 lines, which one goes to your main bypass and one goes to the high speed. So we're just going to unscrew all these lines so there's no fuel in there. And at that point, we're going to pull the fuel pump all the way off. So here's an important part right here, this fuel pump. It's very expensive. And if you let fuel, any kind of methanol, or any methanol lay in any of these fuel lines, the fuel pump, the barrel valve, it will corrode the aluminum. Alcohol is very corrosive. So what will happen is it'll eat the inside of this pump up. The next time you go to use it, it may not work at all, or you will have lost performance. Gallons per minute will be down, and your motor won't run right. So super important you get the fuel out of this pump and out of all the lines. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to the left side of the car. I run a fuel block, an Lrb Fuel Block here, and we have our Fragola fuel lines is a fuel line kit that we stock and we sell here at RUPW. And we also stock and sell the same kit in BMRS. So my Lrb fuel block here, we got the 3 lines going into one block, and then the 1 line going all the way back to the tank. So unhook all your bypasses here. This is an IRL high-speed bypass. And then we got our main bypass. All these are made by Kinsler. It's your main pill holder here. Oh, there we go. And then secondary bypass. Sit them down. So the fuel will stay in these when you shut the engine off, because you're just shutting the fuel off to the engine. So the fuel will lay in these bypasses. And just like your fuel pump, super important to get the fuel out of these, because all this, number one, all this stuff's expensive. And once it's ruined, there's no fixing it. So we got the bypasses off. And back to the fuel block here, I'm going to unhook this line and let that drain too, because there will be some fuel that lays in the line in the fuel block here. So get everything unhooked, all our bypasses off, pumps off, and now we're going to unhook the lines going to the motor, and we'll show you that next. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to hook the lines going to the barrel valve and coming from the barrel valve. We got our main line here just past the shut-off valve. I always unhook this line, goes through the dash, and I always open the fuel valve up, because if there's any fuel laying in here, gravity will let it run out. So now we're on the engine side of the cockpit here. I'm going to just pull the line through the dash. There's your main feed line, and I got a bulkhead here with the secondary line attached to it. Going to unhook that too. So all the fuel lines are unhooked, and what we're going to do next is we're going to blow all this out with air. We're just going to take our blow gun, hook it up here, and it's going to blow all the lines out, the nozzle lines out, and the nozzles and the barrel valve. All right, so we're going to pull our moose plugs off the injection here. Got these on here to keep any dirt out. They're wash plugs. We use them when we're washing the car. We're going to pull these out. I'll just sit these up front here for right now. The reason I'm doing that is because when we blow the air in the main line, we want to be able to open the fuel injection up, open the butterflies, which will in turn open the barrel valve. So that'll let the air blow the excess fuel out of any lines and the barrel valve. Without opening the fuel, without opening up the barrel valve,
make sure I can see.
It'll actually blow the fuel out of the secondary, because that's how that works. So I don't want to get anything on you here, dear, but we're blowing that out. So now we'll go around here and we'll open the throttle up, and it's blowing any extra fuel it's in the barrel valve, through the barrel valve, through these nozzle lines, sure 8 of them, and down through the nozzles. So now we have all the fuel blown out of the barrel valve. So what we're going to do next is we'll lubricate the barrel valve, and we'll repeat the same process. So what I'm going to use Marvel mystery oil. I'm going to use this on all my lines and the fuel pump. We'll get to that in a second, but I'm just gonna dump a little bit of this in the main line here. That should be enough. Just set this down. And I'll basically just blow that Marvel mystery oil through the barrel valve and through all the lines. You can really do that as much as you want. You really can't have too much. So what we just did there was we blew the fuel out of the barrel valve, lubricated the barrel valve. So when your motor sits during the off season, when you go back to racing, all you really need to do is probably just blow that back out of there. You really wouldn't have to. I mean, your fuel's going to pump it through there, and then it'll be full alcohol. But a lot of times I'll blow the lines, clean the lines out before we actually go to fire the car. So one other thing is as to why it's so important to lubricate your barrel valve like we just did was, if you don't, the steel, the barrel valve itself is steel, and it's gonna get rusty, and it will actually, we call it freeze up, rust up against inside there. So when you put your foot on the gas, if that barrel valve can't spin, eventually it will break loose, but at that point in time, your percentage is going to be way off. So that's going to lead into problems. And like I said earlier in the video, some people have that problem, don't even realize it until they get to the track, and then the car's not idling right and it won't run. So that's how I do it. That's how we get the motor winterized. Lines are blowed out. Nozzles are blowed out, so there's no alcohol at all in the engine. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lubricate our bypasses and our fuel pump. Same thing, I'm using the Marble Mystery Oil. You can use WD-42, a lot of guys do. Some people don't like it because it leaves a residue. We never had a problem with it. Don Ott, he recommends the Mystery Oil in the motor, so that's kind of what the route I'm going here. So we already blew the fuel pump out. There's no alcohol in here that we can see, so we're just going to dump a little bit of this Mystery Oil in here. We're going to take a 3/8 wrench, and you can see it's already coming out. We're just going to turn this thing over. Boom, we got the whole pump lubricated. So pump is good to go. It's good to sit all winter. Wouldn't hurt to turn it over, every once a month or something if you feel as though it's necessary. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to blow our bypasses out because there could be some fuel trapped in there. So we're just going to put a little bit of Mystery Oil in these. Oop, same thing there. Just going to hook them up here to this high-speed checker. Everybody should have a high-speed gauge. We got them here at RUPW. We have ones very similar to this, except they have a larger gauge on them, go up to 200 pounds. So this is just one we keep in the shop for doing little stuff. So you hear that? That's just blowing any excess fuel out and blowing the Mystery Oil in. So secondary bypass is definitely lubricated, good to go. We'll do the same thing to our high speed, our IRL high speed. Just a little bit of Mystery Oil in there. On this here, I actually back I'll show you here in a second. I back the adjustment all the way out, so there's no fuel in there. Screwed back out too far, but anyway, there's no pressure. It's at least amount of pressure, so we'll just crank that up. Here, it's already starting to boom. So if any alcohol was in there, it's already blowed out and it's lubricated. So do that to all your bypasses. The main bypass, same deal, pretty easy. This has only got a 2 pound spring in it. A little bit of oil in there. It's gonna pop off right away. Done. So there you have it, folks. Fuel system winterized. We got all the fuel out, everything. Nothing's gonna get corroded. Nothing's gonna get ate up. When you're ready to go racing again, all you gotta do is blow everything out, hook everything back up, and go racing. Shouldn't have any problems. One more thing I need to add here. When you get done doing all of this, cleaning everything out, blowing it all out, getting everything lubricated, caps and plugs. You need to cap everything. You got stuff laying around. The last thing you want to do is go through all this work and have the stuff sit around and get dirty, whether it be from working in the shop, cutting and grinding, you name it, So always put your caps. We just use these plastic caps. We got them here at the shop. We got them in kits. So, yeah, one last step. Cap and plugs. That way you You know ain't nothing living in there either.
Oh.
So if you like these videos we're doing, hey, we're going to have more coming. Like them, subscribe to our channel, ring that bell for notifications. There's going to be links in the description down below for some of the products we're using. Some of these products we sell here at Racers New and Used Parts Warehouse. Link to our website down there, RUPW.com. Link to our own personal website, BillyDietrich.com. And yeah, just keep a like on our channel. If you have any questions concerning any of these videos or anything related to sprint cars at all, don't hesitate to call us. You can go on our website, RUPW.com. Phone number's on there. Give us a call. Talk to me, Bill, or you talk to my brother Danny. Or you can even ask for my dad Dan. He's here. He's knowledgeable. So he's sitting over here. But that's it. That's a wrap for today's video.